there were some people wanting to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Yes, I'm just being asked, by the way. It's Graham Coath talking to Leo. Thanks for joining me. And I'm just being asked whether Leah can share this with her friends and other people afterwards. Of course, absolutely. This is what it's all about. The reason that I do these interviews and make them into podcasts, etc., is just to get more music out there. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just I'm a lifelong music fan, and I have got to a point in my life where this can sit simultaneously with the business that I do, and it's rather nice to be able to make a platform and allow musicians to share, especially at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
especially at the moment. Yeah. I mean, it works for me. I really appreciate what you're doing. It's awesome.
Good. So tell us, we were just chatting about your camper van. You are an artist on the road, so to speak.
Yeah, well, I used to be before
lockdown.
before COVID.
Yeah.
I'm getting back into it over here. Things are opening up again, which is, I feel really lucky and grateful for that.
Just tell people where here is.
Australia, in New South Wales.
Right.
It's been sorry, I could see my partner in the mirror.
Yeah, hi partner in the mirror.
Partner in the mirror.
And for people that are listening, you're not in your camper van at the moment. You're in a building which you called some kind of granny
flat type.
Granny annex type thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So because of we converted a Mercedes Sprinter van into a full-time home because my partner's a circus performer. I'm a musician.
Wow.
So it just made sense that we, neither of us want to be paying rent anymore. So we just did, got my dad and my partner's brother, who's a, auto electrician mechanic, to, help us do this thing. And so we traveled around for about 2 years, and then the pandemic happened and they really cracked down on travelers. We couldn't, caravan parks were shutting down as well. So we couldn't really be sleeping on the street anywhere or in caravan parks. So we had to come down to my partner's family's property down here in a place called Yass, which is it's pretty regional, like country area. And during the lockdown restrictions part of the pandemic for us, my partner decided to convert a demountable building that was kind of used as a storage unit into another little tiny home.
Yeah.
So that's where I am right now.
Okay, but you're used to small spaces, and this is probably quite a big space compared with the van.
It really is. It's quite a luxury.
You'll be sad slightly to leave it in some ways, I suppose.
Yeah.
But and it sounds like you're in quite a nice part of the country as well.
Yeah, it is really pretty down here. It was really nice actually after traveling around in the van for 2 years, because we were being quite, stealthy about our van. It kind of looked like we made it on purpose look like a tradie van. On the outside, you couldn't really tell unless you were looking hard enough that there were people inside it. So every
it's like a reconnaissance vehicle.
Yeah, I know. Okay. It's probably a little bit creepy sometimes for people, but it was so that we could go from gig to gig. And if I need to sleep on the street after a late night gig, you wouldn't really get pulled up about it. But we had to move 2 or 3 times a day. Really, you'd have your night spot, and then you'd have your morning spot and your day spot. You couldn't really be in one spot for too long, so there was lots of packing up, moving to the next spot, doing that again several times a day. There was a while there where in the morning when I'd wake up, because the van on the back doesn't have windows, I wouldn't know where I was until I opened the door. So it was quite tiring. I didn't realize how tired I was until we came down here because of COVID and had to stay still. And I was like, wow, it's really nice to be in one spot.
Yeah.
And just kind of take it in and enjoy the scenery and just relax a little bit.
It's a change in life, and sometimes that's can be quite helpful for a while.
Yeah.
Now you say that your partner is in a circus and traveling with the rest of a circus normally as well.
No, she has done that. She's done tours before and worked with circus companies, but more freelance now, doing kind of corporate gigs, but also creating and directing her own shows.
Right.
Doing,
because I was trying to work out in my head how that worked in terms of
the band door about 7 clowns get out. No, that's it.
Well, no. I was trying more to work out how that worked in terms of, generally a circus will go from one place to another, and what happens if you get a gig somewhere and or offered a gig and it's over there, and then the circus is over there, and how do you reconcile that, and who wins? But it's not quite like that.
Well, you're right. There was a lot of compromise because we couldn't, being, both having to work. We had to have a shared calendar where if there were days where we both had a gig, it had to be in the same area. It had to work, if whether I dropped her off or she dropped me off, and I'd go do the gig and come back and pick her up from her gig. But it could be difficult sometimes because we also have a husky who we
everyone's got to have a husky, or at least a dog. I mean, I've got a sausage dog, tiny
really?
little thing.
That's a much better van-sized dog than a husky.
Oh yeah, he would fit into a van, no problem whatsoever.
Yeah, we didn't think about that too well.
Well, can you not use the husky as a blanket? I mean, that's
yeah. I mean, we probably did sometimes. It got pretty chilly in there, but he really adapted well. So we were lucky in that sense that he was quite a stealthy van dog, and it just meant that one of us had to be, babysitting him while the other, went and did a gig. But we worked it out. It was fine.
Now, tell me about your music, because firstly, I'd like to say I've listened to your EP and it's stunningly beautiful, absolutely stunningly beautiful. As is the cover artwork. Who did that?
Yeah. So first of all, thank you for listening, and that's really lovely to hear. Kit Fox did the cover art. She's an awesome artist. She's really talented, does like the digital art, and I really didn't give her much of a brief. I just said I'd like to include some of the elements from the songs, like I mentioned, I don't know, trees and rivers at some point, and obviously I wanted a line in there, and then I just said, listen to the EP and see what that conjures up for you, and that's what she came back with, and I loved it.
That's tremendous. Actually, in some ways, for a real artist, that's an absolute godsend, rather than being told categorically, I want this, and there's so much vision there sometimes that they're left with no kind of creative input. So to be given that sort of freedom is often lovely. But where did music start for you then? I mean, were you brought up with music?
I was just always drawn to it. Neither of my parents are musicians. My grandfather on my dad's side, he plays the harmonica, and he's musical in that sense, but he was never, a performer or anything like that. But anyway, I think I just harped at my parents to get me a guitar when I was little. And
were they music listeners though? They weren't musicians, but they were absorbers of music.
Definitely. I grew up listening to my mum. He's a huge fan of Prince and Fleetwood Mac.
That's pretty cool to have a mum that's a Prince fan.
Oh, she's the biggest Prince fan. I got to see Prince live twice because of mum.
Wow. Okay.
When I hear Prince now, it still feels like home to me. Like, I love his music, and mum's given that to me.
Yeah.
and yeah, any like she's not, she's pretty. She does love music in general. And Dad, he was listening to like Pink Floyd and some kind of more country stuff. I think UB40.
Any Genesis in there?
No.
Oh, I had to ask because this afternoon I'm interviewing Steve Hackett, who was in Genesis.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I thought I saw a promo for that. That's very exciting.
Yeah, you need to.
Yes, of course. All the time we listen to Genesis.
All the time listening to Genesis. Yeah. No, it's fine. Pink Floyd, it's good. Maybe one day I'll have someone from Pink Floyd in. But it's a similar genre. Obviously, it's in the sort of prog rock genre, which is why I asked whether.
My dad. He wasn't. Mum was more the music fan, but those are the cassettes that Dad had in his little collection.
I am glad you mentioned the word cassettes, because that just brings the sort of age of it back, and it really sort of conjures up memories for lots of people. That era of listening to music on things media like cassettes, for example. I mean, you're obviously considerably younger than I am, and these days everything is on a digital platform. But for you, was there a special element to always listening to music on record or cassette or whatever?
Yeah, definitely. I loved even the smell of the old tapes when you open up the little plastic cassette tape, and they had like vinyl as well. But yeah, I used to love. I don't know what it was about it. If a CD case had lyrics in it, I would just sit there next to the speaker and read the lyrics as they came out. But I really remember the smell of old cassette.
Yeah, well, it was quite a chemical smell, but it was very nice as well.
Yeah. But it made it feel more real. Like
Sure.
I want to put my music onto CDs at least sometime in the near future, because I like that. I like having something in your hand to look at. I love having the little booklet to pull out and look at the lyrics and read about the people who were involved. I think that's a big part of it. Yeah.
Well, it's something I've talked to some of the other musicians about. I mean, one of my favorite female singer-songwriters over the years has been Christian Hirsch, and I spoke to Freda Bong, who's been working with her, and they've been doing videos together, etc. recently, and he went on tour with her, and for a period as well, she started bringing out books and then putting the CD inside.
Nice.
So yeah, and we talked about that, and I talked about it with somebody else as well. And I to me, I think that it's where people want something tangible in their hands. It's also an element where you can bring art forms together and actually then give more value back to the recipient. So so for example, your artist friend, may be working on a project where you have a series of art pieces and to reflect different bits of it and the music and some words and and make it something special. And then it's great for someone that buys that. I think as a consumer it makes a lot more sense as well, because then you're not into the realm of thinking, well, do I spend out that little bit more money and buy the CD, or shall I just go for the download? Or shall I just stream it because I've got that anyway? Because it's you've got this better thing in your hands. So why wouldn't you want it? I
totally agree. That's a really good idea, because I've said to Kit, the artist, that she just has to make the cover art forever for me, whatever comes out next. But I love that idea, because I really do.
Well, that's very prog rock of you. That's very prog rock of you. which is, if you look at the prog rock bands, they did that. I mean, people like Yes, for example, Roger Dean did every single cover, and there was a progressive line. If bands like Marillion, Mark Wilkinson did every single cover for ages, and then with Pink Floyd, they had a design team. So it's, I think it's a great thing to do, because you build up a relationship as well with that artist as well, and you both go on that artistic journey together.
Exactly. And I think it's I think it would be so interesting, like, over time, to see how the music might change and how the art might change and how they would feed off each other. I think it's really cool. I'm really excited to see what she comes up with next, for sure.
Good. So when did you start writing? You said you badgered your mum and dad to buy you a guitar. What age was that?
Oh, I was little. Like, the guitar was, it
wasn't a full size guitar, no?
No, it wasn't. It was man, I would have been 6, maybe 5 or 6. I'm not sure.
6, that's young, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but I didn't get serious about it. I think I was like 9, maybe 9 or 10 when I started taking proper lessons, and then I went and I started getting trumpet lessons first. I forgot about that.
Right.
I wish I could still play the trumpet, but I can't. Well, I mean, I could maybe play a little bit,
but that would have taught you to read music, though.
Yeah, I read music. I learned to read music when I was playing the trumpet, and then I went on to the drums, and I kept reading music. And then I started learning guitar, and then music went out the window. As soon as I found tab, I was like, who needs music? And then went on to singing lessons. So I just, from the age of 10, it was, proper learning and playing.
I think trumpet's a great instrument to start with. I mean, it's not for everybody else in the house as you're learning.
Oh, no.
Not at all.
The dogs hated it, especially.
Yeah, my 19-year-old first learned trumpet. That's what he's at university now, studying film. But he first learned trumpet, and a bit like you, he doesn't really play trumpet anymore, but it gave him that grounding in, learning music, I suppose, learning to play with other people. But also you could tell that there was an ear there, and you can't really play trumpet effectively without having that ear for tonality and notes. So I suppose that comes with it. He's moved on to guitar now.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it's a natural progression, to be honest.
Yeah.
Not for everybody. I've some people stay with trumpet the whole of their lives, and but
when I see amazing trumpet players, I do get envious, because I think, maybe I could do a little bit of that now if I stuck with it. But I really appreciate what they do. But
obviously there are other instruments other than guitar on your recording. So is it all you, or do you have other people play?
I wish it was. So because I recorded the EP, in my van, during kind of restrictions, I worked remotely with one person. Sid Green is an amazing musician, producer, songwriter. So what we did was I would send him a demo of the song. I'd write the song, so vocals and guitar. I'd send to him, and I'd tell him the vibe that I wanted. It was always really important to me for the song to stay authentic, and for the emotion of the song to be pretty much the whole point. And he would then put down a band around what I'd sent him, and we'd go back and forth like that. So Sid is amazing. He put down pretty much everything else you hear in those tracks has been Sid tinkering away in his studio about 3 or 4 hours away.
I love people like that, don't you? They're just
I can't say enough about Sid, and it was really lovely because like we've actually never met. we
Oh my word!
I'd heard about
That's
his
going to be a great meeting when it finally happens,
Oh,
isn't it?
I know. I'm hoping that he can come to the EP launch got postponed in November because of bad weather. And he was on tour then, so I'm hoping that he can come to the new date. That would be really awesome to meet
When
him.
is the new date?
30th of January, so
Right.
next Saturday.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll be nice to have it done because I was heartbroken when it got postponed because I think the year that it was last year seemed to accumulate into this launch for me. And when it got postponed, it was just like one last thing for quite a bad year.
Yeah. Did this lockdown period and this restriction period, etc. Did it push you into a period of creativity as well, though, or?
Yeah, after a period of being sad, it definitely gave me the time and space to be like, okay, well, you've wanted to record an EP for too long, just do it. And that's when I got in touch with Sid, and we spoke on the phone, and we just clicked over the genre, and it went from there. It was easy to work with him, and I've asked him to make sure that it was also a good experience for him, and he says it was, so I'm going to go with
good.
that. Yeah.
Good. Now, your voice. You said you've had singing lessons. Which whoever your singing teacher is, well done. Because it's a fantastic voice. But naturally, did you gravitate towards singing, or did you? Is it something you kind of had to sort of be convinced about a little bit along the way?
Yeah. I was like a closet singer for years. Playing guitar. I played guitar for years, and even wrote songs, but without kind of singing them. I get someone else to do the singing, and then I think when I was about 18 or 19, I started doing little covers just in a lounge room with one of my good friends, and then we started doing musical comedy together, and we started actually performing it.
Yep.
So that's when I started actually singing on stage, was musical comedy.
That's really interesting. So was this based on other people's songs that were already written and sort of just rewriting the lyrics to them to make them into comedy, or did you literally wrote sort of parodies, not parody songs, but your own songs with funny lyrics?
Both. So
both.
We made some song, made parodies out of existing songs, and but I think mostly wrote our own.
It's so much fun though, isn't it? It's actually great.
It's really good fun. It's kind of
I used to do that for a radio show at a festival. I was involved with a festival radio association over here, and we were teaching people how to do radio. But a group of us used to do this comedy show, and because we'd been involved in sort of comedy in our own lives, and when we came together, we were very naughty. We were like three naughty schoolboys, trying to see how naughty we could be. And we had different skill sets. So I tended to do sort of monologues and also sort of parody songs. And then, John would write a lot of one-liners, and he's gone on to be a comedian and write a lot of scripts for comedy programs on TV and radio. And then Mike, who I actually bumped into at an airport last year, I hadn't seen him for years, went on to work in radio as a journalist. So it was great. But
it's great.
Yeah, that was it was my thing. I mean, do you remember the U2 song "Numb," which was quite for them was quite a departure because it was a fairly simple loop, etc. And it was quite robotic. And I completely rewrote that as "Dumb" and redid all the lyrics and sang over the top of it. But it was
Do you have
amazing
like
fun.
recordings or anything of this stuff?
I hope not.
Yeah. I can understand that.
No, they're probably there out in the ether somewhere. But you know, I'd like to avoid a law case against me. So
Yeah, no, I get
yeah,
that. But our musical comedy was really quite crude. Like,
yeah.
but I don't know. It just seems kind of natural for it to go down that path. Musical comedy. It's kind of easy to do that.
But,
I'd rather not see
so
mine.
you were this closet singer, but were there, when you started to develop your own voice, were there voices that you were listening to that you kind of tried to gravitate towards, or it was just purely, you know, I want to sound, you obviously every singer wants to sound like themselves because that's important.
Yeah.
Are there singers, are there female singers in particular, I guess, being a female, that you felt that's an amazing voice? So who would you put on a pedestal as a singer?
That when I was like singing and getting lessons and things like that, I never thought that way. I was just happy. I was just happy to be singing. I was just I never. And when I listen to myself now, I think I sound quite strange, quite odd. I don't know. It's certainly not a mainstream voice at all, I don't think. And I know that some people compare my music. I've had people compare my music to, like, today someone said Jewel, someone else said Nora Jones. One of my friends.
You do have a little bit of Nora Jones in your voice.
And that's great, because I love Nora Jones. Like, I've listened to her a lot as a teenager, and
yeah,
you know, maybe that's, I don't know, a little
secretly
bit
crept in, maybe, you know, who
maybe.
knows?
I don't know, but yeah, Nora Jones is one of those singer-songwriters I would definitely put up there.
Yeah. Well, you have a slight jazziness to your voice, which is nice. And yeah.
Heard that before,
and it's possibly slightly to do with the phrasing, but that's, you know, I think that's probably where the Nora Jones thing comes in. You can hear a little bit of that in there. I also sort of found a little bit of comparison with, I don't know whether you ever heard the album that Katie Tunstall did, which was a quieter album, but you have a purity of your voice, which also goes with that as well. So, you know, yeah, I very much enjoyed it indeed. And in terms of sort of subject matters for songs, is it for you? Is it autobiographical, or is it complete fantasy, or is it a mixture of both?
I don't think I have the not the capacity, but when I write songs, they have to be real for me. Like, I write from feeling,
Yep.
if that makes sense. And so yeah, as a result, the songs are either about something I've been through, something I'm going through, or somebody around me is going through. So it could still relate to what's going on in the world, but obviously it's affecting me and everybody else. You know, it's anything I feel strongly about. That's where it comes from. Like the Fire Coming on the EP, I wrote that during the bushfires going on in Australia at the start of last year.
And that's really, I mean, for someone that's on the other side of the planet in England, we see those things happening. And, you know, obviously it looks tremendously frightening, and it you know, you can see it as the ordeal that it is, but living through it must be 10 times worse, especially emotionally. I don't think it's something that needs to be written about in a way, because it's, you know, I don't know that a TV report can really do that justice in terms of what the emotional impact is of that, or what you actually feel living with that on your doorstep.
Music's amazing like that. I think that's what I aim to do. What I hope to do is to make people feel things when they listen to my music, and that's why it's really important to be authentic. And that's my way of connecting with people, because I'm not even in day-to-day life interacting with people. I can't fake it. I'm terrible. People probably think I'm.
You have no poker face.
No,
you're not a poker player. No,
not at all. So what you hear is what you get, I guess, with my music.
Well, that's great. And what next then for you? I mean, we all hope that at some point the planet goes back to some semblance of normality, where we can go and touch people again, and share in certainly live experiences where which are completely different from and I still can't believe there are people on the planet that haven't been to a gig. So we would need this to change so that we can rectify that, because if you haven't been to a gig, it's the best thing in the world. But for you, what else going forward? What are the dreams coming out of a bad year and into a year which hopefully has got some optimism and some light at the end of the tunnel? What's your kind of hope?
Yeah, well, the goal right now is just to do the EP launch, to get that done and out of the way. And honestly, I feel a little bit lost still after last year. A lot of things up in the air. But I am, in the long term, long way ahead, when things are very much back to normal, I'd love to go to America and to, that Nashville scene where Americana and folk and alt country is, that's where it's at. I'd love to just experience that and go there. But for now, I just want to play more gigs and push my original music out there.
And of course, you'd go down like a house on fire, in those areas, so to speak. Yeah, you will. Yeah. Of course, you will. What about England? Obviously, I'm in England, but would you want to venture over to England to play? I mean, do you see England as a musical capital of the world still? Or it's quite interesting. I'm not sure whether Australians do anymore.
No, well, we got to go over to London a few years ago, and our friends who live over there showed it, like, they're performers as well. One's a musician and the other's a circus performer, and they showed us around what's the place where all the kind of buskers?
Covent Garden.
Yes, yeah. That's right. They showed us around there, and I just love the atmosphere was, like, I love busking as well. I love doing that. I would love to go over and just do that, just busk. You
need to come to the West Country. Okay. That's next time you come to England, you need to come to the West Country. Forget London.
Okay. I mean,
okay. I'm now alienating myself from everyone that's listening that comes from London. No, London's tremendous, but come to the West Country, because the southwest of England, we have such a history of sort of folk music and storytelling through song, etc. And it really, and we're sort of really grounded in that tradition over here. And the place to come when it finally happens again is the Sidmouth Folk Festival. It's not just folk; it's kind of folk, jazz, etc. And anything that's kind of telling a story. But you would absolutely love it, because A, we've got the countryside. B, we've got superb fish and chips because we're right next to the sea.
Well, that was all you had to say. Really.
I'm selling it to you, but I don't know whether you drink, but we also have scrumpy, which is the strongest form of cider you can drink.
Really?
Yeah, but also we do have this.
Never mind the music, don't worry.
We just have this sort of roots-based music scene in the West Country, which is
Great.
quite an interesting thing to experience if you haven't experienced that before. So yeah, by all means, if you're this way, say so, and we will meet up for a drink.
Yes, please.
But yeah, to finish with, I'm just going to say thanks so much for taking the time to do this. I really hope that having listened to this, people will listen to your music. How are you making the EP available?
People can get it from my website. They can.
Is that the best way? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting feedback that there are a few people who don't want to do Spotify anymore, and I understand that because they don't treat musicians very well. I've been using it as a place for being heard by more people. It's just easier, but I'm looking into it. Anyway, I have a Spotify page, but just to make it easy, people can go to my website and they can link to Spotify, or they can buy the EP straight from there for $10. Yeah. I don't know what that is.
I love saying this. This will go out as a podcast on Spotify, and they will listen to it first before it goes out, no doubt. But I love saying this. I'm all for independent platforms. A friend of mine is producing one as we speak called Zap Active, and we're trying to get artists on there. And the whole idea is that artists can make money out of it.
Great.
And it's more community based.
Lovely.
Fantastic. Yeah. Yay. So yeah, we'll probably put this on Zap Active as well, so people can go and see that on an independent platform, and that will be good.
Yes, that'd be great.
But I as I say, I wish you all the best going forwards. Hopefully at some stage along the line, when you're further along your musical journey, so to speak, we'll meet back again together and talk about, do you remember the days when we just came out of 2020 and it was all a bit like that? But now look at it. Yeah. And here I am traveling around Nashville with my guitar, just having signed a major record deal. And that will be tremendous.
And then I'll be drinking, what is it? Scrumpy with you. That'd be great.
And then you shall be headlining Sidmouth Folk Festival and drinking Scrumpy.
That sounds
I think that will be fantastic. Hopefully, as I say, people will download and pay for it, folks. The EP.
LeoOriginalmusic.com. Yeah, almost. I forget my own website. That's what
make sure when this gets up as a stream afterwards, put it in the comments as well, so that people know where to actually go and buy the music, because it's just so important at the moment that people support artists by actually putting their hands in their pocket. And this is not the time to be streaming music; it's the time to be actually supporting artists, because you can't go out on the road and make a buck, as it were, at the moment.
Yeah, and I have it. I feel very lucky at the moment that I had 2 gigs on the weekend, but I lost all of my work last year, so the fact that people can buy my EP for $10 if they want to is, that is a huge help. It's great.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. So much.
I will see you in the future. Everybody, Leo, thank you very much.
Thanks
Bye
so
for
much
now.
for having me. Bye.